Whatever choice you make in every interaction you have, make the choice to be at peace, your sacred or higher self says. Whereas your ego says, oh, no, 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 no. It's much more important to be right. And so we find people in relationships struggling a lot. And one of the things that they struggle about is who's right and who's wrong. Most of the fights that you have in your relationships really basically, it's oftentimes you forget the details. But it's basically about who's right and who's wrong. So that if you want to have your higher or your sacred part of you ruling in your life, I suggest this to you. Practice being kind rather than right. When you have the choice. And you have the choice in your relationships with your spouse and your ex-spouse, with your parents, with your grandparents, with your in-laws, with strangers on the freeway, with flight attendants, with waiters, with whomever you interact. If you can just subdue this ego part of you which says, it's important for me to be right, which will introduce you to stress and anxiety and fear and so much of the stuff that I talked about earlier, and instead say, how can I suspend this part of me and allow the part of me that wants to be at peace, that wants to be happy, that wants to be fulfilled. And if I said to you, I'm going to give you a magic wand, and with this magic wand, I am going to allow you to just wave it and get anything that you want. Whatever you want. You can have this, you can have this car, you can have these nice clothes over here, you can have this home, whatever it is. Or I said to you, in lieu of that, I'm going to give you another wand, and you can wave this, and for every moment for the rest of your life, you'll be at peace. Whatever comes along, you'll be able to choose peace. And basically, we know that we're only here for a very short time. And being able to choose peace, which is what the sacred part of you begs you, the higher self. Once you get that, you begin to shift away, and you stop telling yourself that the people who are close to me, in relationship with me, are the people who don't belong there. I remember my wife and I, we often talk about this, and we've been together a long time. We've had many children together, and we have a very wonderful, loving relationship. Thank you. But we'd often, and one time I said to her, or she said to me, you know, we love each other, but this doesn't sound like love. Sometimes the way we talk to each other doesn't sound like love. Let's practice with each other, being kind rather than being right. And it was transformative that when we had that walk. And doing that with your children, and doing that with a waiter. I mean, a waiter who comes to you and is like, you know, hassled and frazzled and has been busy and all of that, and your ego says, wait a minute, I'm here and I'm important, and I have a right to be served, and I have a right to be served now. That's the ego part of you. If you can suspend that and say, you know, you are a lucky man tonight. You got somebody who's dealing from his sacred self. And I understand. And you take your time, and you come to me, and you bring it at your convenience, whenever you can. I'm willing to suspend my... And you know what? You'll get served so fast, and with such gratitude, just for being kind, if you practice it. Every single one of us are in relationship. Whether it's with our husbands and wives, with our ex-husbands and wives, with our children, our grandchildren, whether it's with people we drive along the freeway next to, whether it's with waiters and waitresses, or baggage handlers, or flight attendants, or people that we are in line to get into the movie. We're all in relationships, and we interact with each other all the time. And probably the best lesson that I've ever learned in my life about how to be in a relationship in a way which is powerful and happy and fulfilling is to remember this sentence. When you have a choice, and you always do, to be right or to be kind, start picking kind. The ego part of us wants to be right. How dare you not serve me as fast as I think I deserve to be served? How dare you say something to me? And immediately we want to make that other person wrong and make ourselves right. But there's a part of each one of us that wants to be happy, it wants to be at peace. And that part of us says, it doesn't matter whether you're right, it doesn't matter about your ego. All you want is to be at peace, so pick kind. This kind of an attitude, if we had more of this, not only in our own personal lives, would we improve virtually every relationship we have with all of the people closest to us and all of the strangers we interact with. But on our planet as well, we would begin to understand the wisdom that on a round planet, there's no choosing up sides.
that we're all one. We're all breathing the same air. We're all drinking the same water. We're all being warmed by the same sun. And as they say, as the Native Americans used to say, no tree has branches so foolish as to fight among themselves. It applies in your relationships, and it applies as a people as well.
There is a rhythm to this universe that no clock can capture, no calendar can predict. It is the rhythm of the divine. It moves not according to your impatience, not by your logic, and not by your ego's demands, but by something infinitely wiser, infinitely vaster. Divine timing is not late, not early, and never wrong. It arrives like the tide, not to meet your schedule, but to meet your soul's evolution. When you begin to understand this, not as a concept, but as a living truth etched into the silence of your being, something inside you relaxes. You stop measuring your life by the ticking of time and start measuring it by the expansion of your awareness. You no longer say, why hasn't it happened yet? But rather, what am I being prepared for? There is no coincidence. There is no accident. Every delay, every detour, every door that would not open was not a rejection, it was a redirection. Life, in its infinite intelligence, has never denied you anything. It has only ever rerouted you to something more aligned with who you are becoming. But the ego does not see alignment. It only sees delay. It only sees absence. It only sees lack. That is because the ego lives in time. The soul lives in truth. And truth is never rushed. The acorn does not argue with the oak it's destined to become. It doesn't complain about how long it takes. It doesn't wish to be another tree. It simply surrenders to the season it is in. It trusts the dark soil and the silent work happening beneath the surface. So must you. You are not being delayed. You are being deepened. We suffer not because life withholds, but because we cling. We cling to timelines, to expectations, to ideas of how and when things must unfold. But divine timing does not ask for your timeline. It asks for your trust. And trust is not passive, it is the most powerful act of surrender. Trust is choosing to believe that even when nothing makes sense, everything is working. That even in silence, there is movement. That even in stillness, something sacred is being orchestrated beyond your view. What appears stagnant is often the space where transformation takes root. The butterfly is not born because the caterpillar pushes harder. It is born because the time is right. And the time is always right, but only to the one who has stopped resisting what is. You were not born to race the clock. You were born to awaken. And awakening does not happen according to schedule. It happens in divine time when the conditions are ready within you, when your spirit is ripe for remembering, when you're finally tired of forcing and start listening instead, listening not to the noise of the world, but to the whisper within you that says, be still, trust this. There is a part of you, ancient, infinite, eternal, that already knows this truth. It is the part of you that has never been in a hurry. It is the part of you that does not panic in the pause. It is the part of you that recognizes that nothing real can be lost and nothing meant for you will pass you by. Let that part of you speak louder now, because everything that you've been waiting for, everything your heart aches to see, is not outside of you. It's unfolding in the unseen. Life is not denying you, it is preparing you. Every unanswered prayer is not a punishment, it is a protection, a recalibration, a sacred pause to make space for something greater. Divine timing does not work to make you comfortable. It works to make you conscious. You see, when you are truly ready, not mentally, not emotionally, but spiritually, you will find that what you once chased begins to arrive without effort. The partner, the peace, the purpose, They do not show up because you demanded them. They show up because you became a vibrational match. Divine timing does not bring you what you want. It brings you what you are ready to hold. And to be ready is to be whole. To be whole is to no longer seek from lack, but to offer from fullness. You stop praying for something to complete you and start radiating the energy that attracts all things naturally. You stop chasing what you think is missing, and you realize nothing is missing. You are already in sacred company, already on holy ground, already part of a divine unfolding that your mind may not understand, but your soul has always trusted. It takes courage to live this way, to let go of your plans, to surrender your agenda, to breathe through the discomfort of not knowing. But this courage is the doorway to miracles. Because miracles do not happen on your timeline, they happen on God's. And God's timing is never rushed by your worry. It is not disrupted by your fear. It is not swayed by your doubt. Divine timing flows from a place that is beyond manipulation, beyond control, beyond your will. It is born from alignment. And alignment comes not from pushing, but from allowing. So let yourself allow the unanswered to be sacred. Allow the delays to be divine. Allow the waiting to be holy. Do not despise the space between the seed and the bloom. Do not curse the rain, the dark, or the dormant. Every season has its place in your becoming. You are not being punished by time. You are being initiated by it. Initiated into patience, into presence, into peace, into the kind of inner freedom that does not depend on outer events, into the kind of knowing that no longer rushes toward the future because it has finally remembered the presence of now. Now is always sacred. Now is always enough. Now is always on time. Even your pain has its purpose. Even your confusion is a corridor. Even your heartbreak is a holy teacher. Not one tear is wasted. Not one setback is random. Every piece of your story is being woven into something radiant, something only divine timing could orchestrate. But here's what you must understand. The soul does not measure progress by speed. It measures it by surrender. It does not ask how far you've come. It asks how deeply you've trusted. And trust is the pathway to all things unseen. Divine timing is the language of the soul. And your soul is fluent in its silence. So slow down, breathe, let go of your deadlines. Release the white-knuckled grip you have around the future. You are not behind. You are not off track. You are not too late. You are exactly where you are meant to be, not by accident, but by grace. You are not waiting for life to begin. Life is waiting for you to open, to soften, to receive what has always been yours, but only at the appointed time. And that time will not be announced. It will arrive like a breeze, quiet, unexpected, transformational. And you will know, not because of a sign in the sky, but because your soul will sigh. Now is the moment. Now is the miracle. Now is always divine. You are not late for your life. That idea only exists in a world ruled by comparison, but your soul does not compare. It unfolds. Like the petals of a lotus, it opens in its own rhythm, untouched by the clock, unmoved by the pressure. The soul does not bloom because others have. It blooms because the moment is right, because the inner soil has been tilled by tears, softened by surrender, and nourished by grace. You are not behind, you are becoming. When you accept this, truly accept it, the anxiety begins to dissolve. You stop racing the phantom of someone else's path. You stop chasing a version of success that was never written for your spirit. And you start living from presence instead of pressure. You no longer look at someone else's breakthrough and feel small. You look and you remember, their time is not your time. Their purpose is not your purpose. The divine does not duplicate destinies. It only fulfills them in unique and perfect ways. Let that truth free you. There is no peace in the timeline your ego demands. There is only tension. There is only striving. There is only a constant hunger to arrive somewhere other than here. But you cannot arrive at peace by abandoning presence. You cannot reach joy by resenting the now. You cannot taste the fruit before the roots are formed. Divine timing is the great teacher of this truth. Every delay has been a blessing in disguise. You may not see it in the moment, but one day you will look back and say, thank God that didn't happen when I wanted it to. Because you weren't ready then, not because you were flawed, but because life was still preparing the soil, still shaping the circumstances, still healing the fractures you hadn't even seen, still aligning the pieces in a way that only spirit could orchestrate. Readiness is not determined by desire. Readiness is a vibration. It is the energy of wholeness. When you vibrate in alignment with what you seek, you don't have to chase it, it meets you. That is the magic of divine timing. It doesn't answer your prayers in panic, it answers them in peace. And it waits until you're home within yourself before it delivers what you've asked for. You are not forgotten, you are not unseen. The delay is not a denial, it is a doorway. A doorway into deeper faith. A doorway into greater trust. A doorway into the kind of inner clarity that cannot be shaken by the winds of time. You are not being punished by waiting, you are being prepared by it. The wait is the work. The pause is the place where the sacred rearranges you so that when the right moment comes, you don't sabotage it with your fear. You were never meant to force anything. You were meant to flow with everything. Look at nature. The rivers do not rush to their destination. They meander, they carve, they flow. Not by urgency, but by surrender. And still, they arrive. The seasons do not compete. Winter does not rush to be spring. Each one honors its time, and so must you. There is beauty in honoring your season, even if it looks like stillness to the world. It may be the most active time for your soul. The greatest transformations happen in the dark. The seed does not sprout in the light. It breaks open beneath the surface, in silence, in obscurity. And you too may feel buried right now. But you are not buried, you are planted. You are in the sacred stage of becoming. And when the timing is right, nothing and no one will stop the bloom. So be gentle with yourself. Speak to yourself the way Spirit would speak. With love, with patience, with reassurance. Tell yourself, I may not see it yet, but I trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. Let this trust become your practice. Let it become your prayer. Let it become the lens through which you see every delay, every closed door, every unanswered question. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is wait without worry. Breathe without rushing. Be without proving. Let life come to you in its own way, in its own time, with its own kind of perfection. There is nothing wrong with you because it hasn't happened yet. There is only ripening, there is only alignment, there is only divine orchestration happening in the unseen, shaping what your eyes cannot yet perceive. And it is not your job to control the how or the when. Your job is only to remain open, willing, and rooted in trust. The divine does not forget its appointments. It never misses its cue. It is not late, it is precise. And when your moment comes, when the door opens, when the alignment strikes like lightning across the sky of your being, you will know it was worth every unanswered question, every tear, every moment of doubt. Because the gift that arrives in divine timing is never just what you wanted, it's what your soul needed all along. That's the difference. What the ego wants often comes with a price, but what Spirit delivers comes with peace. You do not have to sacrifice your soul for what is meant for you. You only have to align with the truth of who you are and allow life to meet you there. Do not confuse stillness with stagnation. The universe is never still. Even when the surface seems quiet, the depths are in motion. So too are you. Even now, something within you is shifting. Even now, you are becoming a more fertile ground for the miracles you once begged for. You are the prayer. You are the timing. You are the place where God shows up, not in fireworks, but in presence. Not in drama, but in alignment. Trust this. Trust the closed doors, for they are divine detours. Trust the quiet, for it is the soil of revelation. Trust the unanswered prayers, for they are the guardians of greater blessings. Trust the seasons of isolation, for they are the spaces where spirit reshapes you without distraction. Most of all, trust that you are not waiting for life. Life is waiting for you to stop running, to stop grasping, to stop forcing, and simply become still enough to be found by the grace that is already on its way. Let yourself be found. Let yourself be held. Let yourself believe that divine timing is not a punishment, but a promise. A promise that what is truly for you cannot be lost, missed, or delayed. It can only arrive exactly when you are ready to receive it fully. And when it does, it will feel like coming home. Not to a place, but to yourself. The greatest illusion the ego maintains is the belief that we are in charge of time, that we are the masters of beginnings and endings, that we can orchestrate the symphony of life according to our own design. But the soul knows better. The soul knows it is not the conductor, it is the instrument. And when we surrender to divine timing, we allow ourselves to be played by the hands of the infinite. What emerges from that surrender is not weakness, it is music. A harmony that could never have been composed by the mind. A melody that rises only when the heart is still and open. You begin to notice that what you thought was a setback was a setup. That what you perceived as loss was actually rearrangement. That what you judged as stagnation was spiritual gestation. You were not forgotten in the silence, you were being softened. Softened so that you could receive, not just externally, but internally. Because nothing that arrives externally will fulfill you until you are inwardly prepared to hold it with reverence. Divine timing ensures that what is meant for you will not only enter your life, it will remain in your life, because you will have become someone who can sustain it. That is why you must trust the wait. There is a divine architecture to your life that cannot be mapped by intellect. It can only be revealed through surrender. You do not see the blueprint, but the builder does. And the builder is never careless. Every beam of timing, every brick of delay, every window of uncertainty is placed with sacred precision. When you stand in the house of your destiny, you will see that even the crooked walls were necessary to bring you home to yourself. But you must be willing to release the illusion of control. Control is the armor of the fearful. It says, if I just try harder, push faster, manipulate better, I can make life bend to my will. But life does not bend to will. It flows through trust. Control may give the illusion of progress, but trust brings the reality of peace. And peace is the foundation upon which all divine things are built. You were never meant to strive your way into blessings. You were meant to align your way into them. Alignment is the holy yes to life as it is. It does not mean you give up desire. It means your desire no longer comes from lack. It comes from love. It means you no longer say, I must have this to be whole, but instead, I welcome this from my wholeness. And when you live from wholeness, timing becomes your ally, not your enemy. The ego says, you should be there by now. The soul says, you are right on time. Every soul blooms in divine sequence. The oak tree does not bloom in spring like the cherry blossom. And the cherry blossom does not judge the cactus for blooming under the desert sun. Every soul has its season. Every path has its pace. And when you honor your own, you free yourself from the suffering of comparison. Comparison is the thief of peace. It convinces you that your worth is measured by how fast you manifest. But true manifestation is not about speed. It's about alignment, resonance, readiness. It's about becoming a vessel that can carry the magnitude of what you've asked for. The universe is not withholding from you, it is waiting for your energy to rise to the level of your request. This is the great invitation of divine timing, to rise, not to race, to rise into patience, into purpose, into presence, to let your growth be the magnet that draws what is meant for you. You do not find your blessings by chasing them. You attract them by becoming who you were born to be. And who you were born to be does not panic in the waiting. Who you were born to be remembers that delays are sacred, that detours are instructional, that even endings are beginnings wearing a different costume. You stop resisting what is and begin listening to what is rising. Because when divine timing moves, it doesn't announce itself. It arrives like dawn, quiet, golden, unmistakable. And those who have learned to trust the dark can receive the light without fear. They no longer cling to the old. They no longer force the new. They allow, they accept, they flow. They trust that every season of their life is a classroom for the soul. You are not late, you are learning. You are not forgotten, you are forming. You are not abandoned, you are being aligned. And when you are aligned, nothing is lost. Everything that is meant for you will find you, not in the chaos of effort, but in the stillness of faith. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is deep remembrance, a return to the knowing that you are already held by something infinitely wise, something that sees 10,000 steps ahead, something that knows exactly when to close a door and exactly when to swing it wide open. Let that knowing soothe you. Let it quiet the voice that says, it should have happened by now. Let it dissolve the anxiety that clings to clocks and deadlines. Let it remind you that you are not on the world's time, you are on soul time. And soul time does not run on urgency, it runs on expansion. The more you expand, the less you force. The more you trust, the more you receive. The more you surrender, the more life reveals its mysterious grace. You begin to walk not ahead of yourself, not behind yourself, but with yourself. And in that sacred companionship with your own soul, you arrive at the only place you were ever meant to be, here. Now, this moment, this breath, this is where divine timing begins, not in some future manifestation, but in your willingness to be fully present with what is. This moment is not in the way, it is the way. It is the seedbed of everything that is coming. It is the holy ground on which your future takes root. Honor it, bless it, trust it. So here you are, not waiting anymore, but awakening, not chasing anymore, but becoming, not counting the hours, but consecrating the moment. And in this holy surrender, something shifts, something softens, something returns. You remember what the ego worked so hard to forget, that you were never separate from the timing of the divine. You were never off course. You were never out of sync. You were always being guided, always being led, always being shaped, not by delay, but by design. Every ache in your chest was a crack through which the light entered. Every prayer that seemed unanswered was an echo, reverberating through a larger orchestration. You could not see it, but the hands of grace were always moving, always aligning, always waiting for you to let go, not because you were being punished, but because your fists were clenched too tightly to receive the miracle. And now you know, the waiting was never empty. It was sacred. It was the chrysalis that transformed you slowly and invisibly into someone who could carry more light. Someone who could love without condition. Someone who no longer begged the universe for answers, but bowed to its wisdom. You are not who you were. The self who demanded the world move faster has dissolved. The self who needed everything to make sense has softened. What remains is truer, quieter, more spacious. You are now a vessel that can receive without needing to control, that can trust without needing to understand. And this trust is the gateway to freedom. Because freedom is not found in having everything you want exactly when you want it. It is found in realizing you are whole, even when nothing has arrived yet. It is found in breathing peacefully through the unknown. It is found in the sacred recognition that everything unfolds not by your command, but by divine alignment. And divine alignment has never failed you. It has placed you in the presence of teachers cloaked as hardship. It has rearranged your plans when they no longer matched your evolution. It has cracked open your heart so that it could stretch wide enough to hold the immensity of love you once feared. And it has brought you here not by mistake, but by miracle. So let the old story fall away now, the one that said you were too late, too behind, too broken, too lost. Let that voice go. It was never your soul speaking. It was your conditioning, echoing in the hallways of your past. But you are not your past. You are not the missed opportunities, the abandoned dreams, the closed doors, the should-haves, or the timelines that unraveled. You are this moment. You are the breath that expands without effort. You are the awareness that watches without judgment. You are the presence that listens without trying to fix. You are the light that remained, even in the longest night. You are the calm after the storm, the clarity after the chaos, the stillness after the striving. You are what was always meant to be. And what is meant for you, truly meant for you, cannot be rushed. It cannot be missed. It cannot be destroyed. It can only arrive when you are fully ready to receive it. Not with trembling hands, but with an open heart. Not with desperation, but with devotion. So take this breath, take this moment, and know, nothing is wasted. No part of your journey has been a detour. Every step has led you here. Every loss carved space for grace. Every silence deepened your listening. Every delay was a message from the divine saying, not yet, because something greater is forming. And now, you're no longer fighting that truth. You're welcoming it. You're no longer demanding your life bend to your timing. You're flowing with the mystery of it all. You're no longer trying to outrun the pain. You're walking through it with open eyes and a steady heart, knowing that even this is part of the rhythm. You're not who you were. You're not who you thought you had to be. You are who you always were, beneath the fear. A soul in perfect harmony with a universe that never makes a mistake. And now you walk differently. Not faster, not more forcefully, but with reverence, with grace, with a quiet knowing that whatever is coming is already yours, that you don't have to run toward it, you just have to rise into it. You just have to meet it by being the truest expression of yourself. And that is freedom. Freedom from urgency, freedom from self-judgment, freedom from timelines built on fear. This is the liberation of the soul that knows, I don't have to rush, I don't have to beg, I don't have to grasp, I just have to trust, open, allow, and life will meet me there. And when it does, it will not be because you forced it, it will be because you became it. The miracle will not come to rescue you, it will come to reflect you. It will not arrive to prove your worth. It will arrive because you finally remembered you were worthy all along. This is the divine unfolding. This is the sacred rhythm. This is your soul, awake and alive, moving with the timing of eternity. So now, breathe. Not because you're waiting for something, but because you are something. You are not waiting for the right time. You are the right time. You are the light that dawns in perfect silence. And divine timing is always right. You were not born to race the clock. You were not born to chase the minutes like loose marbles scattering across a tile floor. You were born timeless, infinite, spacious, a breath of God inhabiting the temporary shell of flesh and bone, not to be measured by hours past, but by the light you emit while here. Time, as you have come to know it, is not your master. It is your mirror. And you, beloved, are not behind. You are simply being invited to expand within the sacred space of now, The panic you feel around time is not because time is cruel. It's because the ego believes your worth is tied to productivity, to calendars and clocks and external achievements. But your spirit knows better. Your soul is not in a rush. It is eternal. It is patient. It is not counting days, it is breathing presence into them. What if your purpose was not to keep up, but to slow down until you become one with the rhythm that has always been here, beneath the noise? Time is not something you have, it is something you are in relationship with. It stretches when you are present. It contracts when you resist. It disappears altogether when you are in flow. And it traps you in anxiety when you believe you must catch up with something outside yourself. But there is nothing to catch. The finish line is not in the future, it is in your stillness. The trees are not in a hurry, yet they grow. The sun is not anxious, yet it rises. The moon doesn't beg for your permission to shine light, simply is. Why then, dear soul, do you rush through your own becoming? Who convinced you that your sacred unfolding had to be done on a timeline someone else invented? The divine is not on a schedule. Your awakening has no due date. You see, the illusion of running out of time is not a crisis of time itself, it is a crisis of identity. The part of you that fears not enough time is the same part of you that believes it must earn its place here. That is the voice of the ego. The ego will tell you, do more, be more, achieve more, then you'll be safe. But the soul whispers, you already are. Be still and know. When you are truly present, when you drop beneath the mind's fixation on past and future, you enter the timeless field of being. This is where healing happens. This is where peace lives. This is where you remember that nothing real can be rushed and nothing true can be missed. In that holy space, you no longer chase time. You become a vessel for eternity. Pause with me now, not to analyze, but to feel. Feel the breath in your body. It is not yesterday's breath, it is not tomorrow's, it is this owner right now. This breath is your teacher. It says, everything is happening here, everything is born now, nothing is out of reach when you are rooted in this sacred inhale. You do not need to earn stillness, it is your home. You were not sent here to keep pace with a society that has forgotten how to be. You were not created to perform urgency like a ritual of self-worth. The race is not real. The timeline is not divine. It is man-made. What is real is your awareness. What is holy is your presence. What is miraculous is the love you allow to flow through you when you no longer resist the moment you're in. And I say to you now, from the deepest well of truth, peace is not found in managing time. It is found in surrendering to being. When you stop trying to bend time to your will and instead open to its flow, you become aligned with the infinite intelligence that knows what you truly need and when you need it. Your life starts to feel guided, not pressured, orchestrated, not forced. So many people ask, how do I find more time? But this is the wrong question. The real question is, how do I return to the eternal now where time loses its grip and I find my soul again? The answer is always presence. The answer is always inner spaciousness. You do not need more hours, you need fewer distractions. You do not need to speed up, you need to return inward. There is a spiritual physics to life. When you become still inside, the external world aligns itself around your clarity. Not because you have control, but because you are now cooperating with divine timing. The more you trust the unfolding, the more you see that every delay had a purpose. Every pause had a gift, and every moment was never wasted, it was forming you. You may think your future lives in the next 5 years, but the truth is, your future is being formed in how you show up right now. Do you rush past the moment, or do you live in it fully? Do you squeeze time, or do you soften into it? When you expand within time, your energy shifts from force to faith. And that shift is everything. Because when you live from the soul, you are no longer governed by fear's clock. You become timeless when you release resistance. You become powerful when you stop performing urgency. You become divine when you stop fighting the moment you're in and allow it to be what it is, without judgment, without panic, without shame. The sacred is always still. The holy is always now. And here's a truth worth remembering every day. You do not run out of time when you live aligned with the source, because source is eternal. And you, beloved, are an extension of that source. How can you be late to your own life when life itself lives through you? When you are truly aligned with the divine rhythm of life, you will notice something miraculous. The moment begins to slow down for you, not because the clock has changed, but because your consciousness has. The more inwardly spacious you become, the more expansive the world around you begins to feel. Opportunities that once slipped by unnoticed begin to reveal themselves. Silence becomes meaningful. A conversation becomes sacred. A walk becomes a communion. This is the reward of presence. It awakens you to what has always been here. You are not waiting for life to begin. Life is waiting for you to arrive. And arriving does not mean doing more, rushing more, checking more boxes. It means becoming awake to this very breath, this very feeling, this very now. There is no magic in the future if you're asleep in the present. The ego will always convince you that fulfillment is one step ahead, one goal away, one promotion, one relationship, one achievement down the line. But the soul smiles and says, I am already here. Be with me now. We live in a culture addicted to urgency. Urgency has become a false badge of importance. But urgency is not presence, it is the child of fear. Urgency says, I am not enough unless I prove my worth through speed. But presence says, I am already enough. And from this stillness, miracles unfold. The deepest transformation you can experience in this lifetime is not rearranging your schedule, it is realigning your relationship to time itself. Because time isn't chasing you, it is offering itself to you. It is a silent invitation to return to what is real. But most people don't hear this invitation. They are running, trying to outrun the voice in their head that says they'll never be enough. But there is no finish line to self-worth. You are worthy now. You are already whole now. No achievement, no title, no external validation can complete what the divine already calls perfect. Let this truth move through you. The present moment is not a stepping stone, it is the entire path. When you expand within this moment, you stop grasping and start allowing. You stop begging life to hurry, and you begin to trust that everything you need is arriving right on time. Your healing, your awakening, your purpose, your next step. They are not on some distant horizon. They are embedded in the present, right here, in this breath, in this stillness. You've been taught that stillness is laziness, that not moving is failure, that rest is weakness. But the truth is, stillness is spiritual strength. It takes power to pause. It takes deep faith to listen before you act. It takes courage to trust that life is unfolding perfectly, even when you don't see the outcome yet. That's the difference between living by ego and living by spirit. Ego demands a result. Spirit embraces the process. You were never meant to conquer time. You were meant to harmonize with it. And the only way to harmonize with time is to live from your soul. Because your soul is not counting the minutes, it is counting the moments of truth, the moments of love, the moments of surrender. And the soul doesn't measure success in speed, it measures success in alignment. Slow down, not because you're giving up, but because you're finally waking up to the miracle of a heartbeat, waking up to the beauty of your breath, waking up to the divine whisper that says, you are not running out of time. You are simply being called to return home, to yourself, to your center, to the eternal now. When you live from the ego, every moment feels like a race. When you live from the soul, every moment feels like grace. The difference is not in what you do, it's in how you be. Can you allow yourself to be rooted, not rushed? Can you trust that your becoming is not on a timer, but on a divine timeline? The soul does not bloom on demand. The soul blooms in divine timing. And divine timing is never late, never early, only perfect. But to see its perfection, you must stop looking at life through the lens of control and begin to see it through the lens of surrender. You don't need more time to feel whole. You need less resistance to the time you already have. You don't need to fix your schedule. You need to expand within it. You don't need to stretch the hours. You need to soften into your presence. Let go of the belief that you are behind. Let go of the belief that you must prove your worth through productivity. Let go of the anxiety that tells you life is slipping away. Life is not slipping, it is inviting. The moment is not passing you by, it is waiting for you to notice it. And when you do, when you finally see the now for what it is, a living, breathing sanctuary of divine awareness, you will understand that you never needed more hours. You only needed more presence. You only needed to stop chasing time and start expanding within it. There was a deeper part of you that already lives in harmony with time. It's the part of you that loses track of hours when you're doing what you love. It's the part that feels one breath stretch into eternity when you're holding a loved one, watching the stars, or hearing music that moves your soul. In those moments, you are no longer the chaser, you are the channel. You are no longer the one fearing time, you are the one dissolving into its sacred rhythm. This is what happens when you remember who you are. Not a creature of habit, but a current of heaven. Not a machine designed to produce, but a miracle designed to awaken. And to awaken, you must stop measuring your value by the world's frantic standards. You must reclaim your sacred right to rest, to be, to breathe, without guilt, without apology, without the illusion that stillness equals failure. You are not here to meet every deadline. You are here to meet your destiny. And destiny is not found in rushing. Destiny is revealed in receptivity. It speaks in the soft moments, in the subtle nudges, in the divine delays. But if you're always in a hurry, you'll miss the whispers that were meant to guide you. You'll miss the doorway disguised as a pause. You'll miss the miracle unfolding in what you thought was wasted time. How often have you condemned yourself for not being far enough? How often have you swallowed the shame of not yet, not knowing that the universe was rearranging the stars for your arrival? How often have you measured your life by artificial milestones, only to realize that none of them brought the peace you craved? Peace was never the reward. Peace was the path. But the path is invisible when you are sprinting through it. Slow down, not because you're falling behind, but because you're finally waking up to the truth. Presence is the gateway to power. Awareness is the home of miracles. And when you are fully here, fully now, fully you, everything aligns, not because you forced it, but because you flowed with it. Because you trusted that the universe was never against you. It was waiting for you to stop running. There are no late bloomers in the garden of the soul. There are only divine unfoldings. And your blooming is beautiful, not in spite of its timing, but because of it. Some souls need more winners before they rise. Some truths need more silence before they surface. Some hearts need more breaking before they become open enough to hold the light. What if the delays in your life weren't punishments but preparations? What if what looked like detours were actually initiations? What if time wasn't the enemy but the womb from which your higher self would be born? You can't rush birth. You can't rush the cracking of the shell. And you cannot force the soul into awakening. You can only allow it. And that's the key. Allowing, not controlling, not pushing, not demanding. Allowing, expanding, opening, trusting. This is the soul's relationship to time. Not a tug of war, but a dance. A surrender to the divine tempo that already knows the steps. When you stop rushing through life, you begin to see what you've been missing. You see the way the sunlight kisses the leaves. You hear the sound of your own intuition, faint but clear. You notice the sacred details, the look in a stranger's eye, the breath between words, the silence beneath noise. Life stops being something you run through and becomes something you are in communion with. And here's the sacred paradox. The more present you are, the more time seems to expand. You get more done with less stress. You make better decisions. You attract more synchronicity because your energy is clean, uncluttered, unclenched. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding from truth. You are no longer racing the clock. You are dancing with eternity. You cannot heal while you are in a rush. You cannot receive when you are in survival mode. You cannot hear the divine when your mind is yelling over the still, small voice. To expand within time means to create space. Space in your thoughts, space in your emotions, space in your schedule, not as an escape, but as a sacred act of remembrance. Remember this, you are not behind. You are on time for your own life. The moment you arrive fully into the now, you are exactly where you are meant to be. No sooner, no later, no more, no less. So be here, breathe here, trust here. This is your portal. This is your healing. This is your miracle. The world will tell you to move faster, but your soul will ask you to move truer. One is noise, the other is wisdom. One exhausts, the other expands. And this is where your freedom begins, not by matching the world's speed, but by matching the universe's rhythm. It takes deep courage to slow down when everything around you says rush. It takes spiritual maturity to rest when the world rewards exhaustion. But until you stop equating your value with your velocity, you will remain trapped in the illusion that your worth is somewhere you have to arrive. It's not. It's here. Now. Always, when you stop chasing time, you begin to reclaim your life. Not just in hours and days, but in meaning, in presence, in sacred attention. Your relationships deepen. Your inner voice sharpens. Your nervous system softens. And life, once blurry from the race, becomes vivid again. You taste your food. You feel your emotions. You hear the wind speaking through the trees. You come alive not because you did more, but because you finally did less with more love. And isn't that the point of time? Not to control it, not to dominate it, but to fill it with depth, with love, with beauty that cannot be measured but only felt. The ego says, make every second count. The soul says, make every second sacred. There is a difference. One is pressure, the other is presence. So much of our anxiety comes from imagining we've fallen behind on a timeline no one truly understands. We compare, we panic, we rush. But have you ever asked, who created this race? Who decided what on time means? Who said you were too late for anything meant for your soul? The divine never rushes. It waits with infinite compassion for your readiness. You don't need to arrive quickly, you need to arrive wholly. And the only way to do that is to stop rushing your becoming. You are not an assembly line. You are a constellation being lit one star at a time. Let life pace you, not pressure you. Let love pull you, not force drive you. Let grace teach you that sometimes the deepest growth comes in the quietest season. The most powerful revelations happen not in the peak, but in the pause. The pause is sacred. The pause is where the divine whispers. And if you're in that pause right now, if things feel slow, still, or uncertain, know that you are not stuck. You are gestating. You are aligning. You are being tuned to a higher frequency. You are being invited to inhabit your life with more truth, more courage, more soul. In stillness, you will remember what matters. You will remember what no clock can ever measure the depth of your being. You are not here to do time. You are here to embody eternity. You are not here to chase the clock. You are here to awaken beyond it. Let every inhale be a return. Let every exhale be a release. You don't need to rush into the future to find yourself. You need to root into the now and let yourself expand, not with urgency, but with reverence. And that expansion doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like grief or patience or surrender. These are not delays. These are doorways. This is time becoming sacred again. Time is not your enemy. It is your ally when you stop fighting it. It is your teacher when you listen. It is your canvas when you become the artist of your life. You can't control how long anything lasts, but you can choose how deeply you live while it's here. You can choose to make a moment eternal by how open your heart is in it. You can choose to make peace the foundation of your hours. You can choose to move through time not as a victim of its ticking, but as a creator of its meaning. You can choose to stop performing urgency and start living intimacy with this breath, with this step, with this moment, because the greatest miracle is not waiting in the future. It is waiting in the full embrace of now. You were not meant to be a servant of the ticking hand. You were not sent here to measure your life in deadlines, alarms, and schedules, but in awareness, presence, and the sacred art of noticing. Noticing the way the moment holds you when you stop resisting it. Noticing how peace begins to rise when you stop filling every corner of your day with noise. Noticing that what you were chasing was never time, it was you. You were looking for yourself in the future, not realizing you've been quietly waiting in the stillness all along. When you slow down, you don't lose time. You meet your life, you meet your wounds, you meet your truth. And you give yourself permission to feel, not as a distraction from progress, but as the very path to wholeness. To feel is not to fall behind. To feel is to return to what is real. The present moment is always real. The future is theory. The past is memory. But now is alive. It is breathing. It is sacred. And it is where God lives. And what is God if not the breath beneath the breath, the stillness behind every heartbeat, the intelligence flowing through the silence you keep avoiding? The divine does not shout. It waits. It whispers. And only the present is quiet enough to hear. There is no greater rebellion in the world that glorifies hustle than to become still and full of joy for no reason. Not because you achieved something, not because you crossed the finish line, but because you remembered you are enough without the chase. You are light without the rush. You are whole even when you are still. Time will pass no matter what. But you get to choose whether you pass through time numb or awake, whether you race toward an imagined destination, or expand into the richness of every unfolding moment. And the irony is, the more present you become, the more time begins to stretch for you. It opens, it bends, it yields, not to your control, but to your consciousness. Presence is the doorway through which the miraculous enters. And the miracle is not out there in some distant future where you finally made it. The miracle is this moment where nothing is missing and you are not late. How could you be late when the soul is timeless? How could you be behind when the divine has no stopwatch? The belief that you must hurry to catch up is rooted in forgetting who you are. You are not the body that ages. You are not the calendar you mark. You are not the plans you postponed. You are the awareness, witnessing it all. You are the eternal, watching the temporary. You are the sky, not the storm. And the sky does not chase time. It holds it, it observes, it expands. And in this expansion, healing begins, not by speeding up, but by slowing into yourself, slowing into your heart, slowing into your breath, slowing into the sacred truth that nothing essential can be missed. Your soul will not let you miss what was written for you. What's meant for you will not require self-betrayal to receive. It will not require burnout. It will not ask you to sacrifice presence in exchange for proximity. There is a divine choreography at work, and sometimes the most aligned step is stillness. Sometimes the most courageous act is not pushing harder, but listening deeper. Sometimes the next step is not forward, but inward. And inward is where time slows. Inward is where eternity begins. Inward is where the real you lives untouched by the ticking of clocks, unbothered by the world's obsession with urgency. You cannot find the soul in a rush. You cannot feel love when you are only moving. You cannot receive the universe when your arms are always reaching but never resting. Expansion doesn't come through force. It comes through surrender. It comes through trust. Trust that you are where you need to be. Trust that nothing essential can pass you by. Trust that your presence is more powerful than your performance. Trust that time is not your master, but your mirror, reflecting how deeply you allow yourself to be. And so I say, with the fullness of divine remembrance behind these words, stop running. Stop trying to beat the clock. Stop measuring your life in hours and start measuring it in awareness, in awe, in aliveness. Expand within the now, because this breath, this moment, this sacred stillness is where your life truly lives. The clock has no dominion over the eternal. It only governs what is temporary, what is surface. But you are not surface. You are not fleeting. You are not a race to be won. You are the sky above all rushing. You are the silence underneath all sound. You are the consciousness beneath the calendar. You are the breath before the name. The fear of running out of time vanishes when you realize you are the timeless. When you step into this moment fully, without resistance, without judgment, without grasping, time no longer moves against you. It moves with you. It begins to cooperate with your peace. It honors your trust. It blesses your stillness. It no longer demands of you. It delivers to you. Because when you are no longer striving to get somewhere, you are finally open to receive what has always been here. This moment is not in your way. It is the way. Every second you resist this moment, you delay the miracle. Every second you open to it, you allow the divine choreography to unfold. This is what expanding within time means, not just slowing your pace, but softening your grip. Releasing the narrative, releasing the guilt, releasing the lie that says you must chase something to be whole. You don't need more time to prove yourself. You don't need more time to become something else. You need only this moment, entered fully, breathed consciously, received humbly. And from here, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly gives you more time, but because you finally become timeless in your way of being. You start showing up with your heart instead of your clock. You begin to speak from your soul instead of your schedule. You begin to live as if every moment is sacred because it is. And then you start to notice the right people come, the right answers arrive, the tension begins to melt, the anxiety begins to fade, not because life became easier, but because you became present. You stopped performing, you started living, and your life responded accordingly. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are arriving now. And if no one ever told you this before, let me tell you now, with the authority of every awakened heart that has ever remembered the truth, you are doing just fine. You are unfolding in perfect timing. You are learning what needs to be learned. You are shedding what must be released. You are blossoming, not despite your delays, but because of them. You are not separate from time. You are the pulse within it, the soul that gives it meaning, the consciousness that can turn any moment, even this one, into a gateway to the infinite. So breathe now. Be still now. Smile now, not because everything is fixed, but because you are finally home in yourself. Let the river of urgency dry up. Let the voice of the world fall silent. Let the whisper of your soul rise like a breeze through the leaves, soft, strong, undeniable. You are not here to race time. You are here to remember the eternal presence that was never absent. You are here to reclaim the sacred rhythm that the world forgot. You are here to stop chasing and start expanding within the only place life has ever truly existed. Now, and now again, and now again. Because Every now is a miracle, and you are not missing a thing. This is your life. This is your time, and it is holy. Let it be enough. Let it be yours. Let it be.